Now, for the rest of this video, we have to talk about the price of gold, because gold just hit a brand new all-time high of $4,000 an ounce for the first time in history. And this is a very big deal. And before we go any further, I just want people to know that, first of all, if you want to buy gold, I have a link down in the description below, because people always ask me, I always get messages asking where I buy my gold from, and I buy it from APMEX, and I have a link for it down in the description below. And if you use my link, I'll get a small commission for that, which I appreciate. They're not going to charge you extra or anything for using my link. It's just where I buy gold. And also, I want to just mention a couple things I got going on here, which is, number one, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter yet, make sure you do that. The link for all this stuff I'm talking about is always in the description below the video. And I recently started a second YouTube channel, which is just a clips channel. You might have seen big podcasting channels do clips channels where they basically just put out small clips of whatever they're doing. Well, that's what the clips channel is, because some people don't have time to watch a 20-minute video every day. So I'm putting out clips on there that are anywhere between 4 and 8 minutes long. And that's good for people who want to watch shorter videos and just want to see bite-sized content. But just rest assured that nothing's going to be changing on this channel. I'm still going to be putting out the longer form videos here. And depending on how things go with the clips channel, I might not even commit to it for long term, depending on what the appetite for that type of content is. But for now, I'm posting on there. I have the link for that down below. So go and check it out if you want to see those shorter videos. But back to the price of gold. Okay, gold went to $4,000 for the first time ever. And gold is basically beating every other asset class this year when it comes to appreciation and growth rates. Gold is beating the S&P 500. Gold is beating real estate. Gold is even beating Bitcoin when we're talking about return percentages. And ever since the Fed started cutting interest rates back in September of this year, we have seen gold continue to go up. We're basically in a stagflation economy right now where growth is stalling or even going to start falling negative pretty soon. At the same time, inflation is still going up. And really the only things that can protect you from this type of situation, historically speaking, has been gold and silver. A lot of people believe Bitcoin will as well. And so far it is holding up. It's not returning as good as gold, but it's definitely getting your money outside of US dollars, which is kind of the aim for everybody investing in gold, silver, or Bitcoin. And besides inflation and worries about where the US dollar is going to be headed in the next decade, central banks across the globe have been really increasing their buying of gold ever since about 2011, really. When you look back on this chart, going back to the year 2000, central banks across the world were dumping gold and they were getting rid of it. But that all reversed in 2010, right after the GFC was kind of finished and the dust had just settled. Well, you can see it started going back up again. And over the past 3 years, it has gone up tremendously, the highest amounts in decades. Also, retail investment into gold has been surging, especially in the Western Hemisphere. September actually marked the biggest monthly inflow on record to the gold ETFs linked to physical gold. Now, in my opinion, that's not buying gold. You're just buying an ETF that says you have a claim to gold. That's not buying gold. I like buying physical metals, which is why I gave you guys the link in the description to go buy the actual real stuff. But just in the month of September, we saw $33 billion pour into gold ETFs, guys. Like, this is just unprecedented what's going on right now. Even Morgan Stanley came out recently and said that they are introducing gold as 20% of their portfolio now, which is something that they've never done before, ever. So why all of a sudden is everybody so bullish on gold? I think it's that all of these people and companies who are investing in gold, as well as entire countries, are finally reawakening to their roots and understanding that gold is and always has been the only form of real money that has ever existed. And since everything is getting completely carried away with inflation and how people's finances are being handled, they're realizing that this is the only real sustainable way moving forward is to go back to gold. I always keep hoping and praying that one day the dollar will go back on the gold standard and that we will be stuck using that. which means we won't be able to just print our way out of every single monetary mess that we find ourselves in. And the price of gold has gotten so high that it's even been a huge boon for gold mining companies that have seen a recent surge in their valuations due to the demand for gold these days. Some of the experts are even saying that gold could go to $5,000 by the end of the year, guys. Like, I don't know. I don't really take too much stock in these predictions. All I know is you should definitely have some. And, is this the best time in the world to buy gold? Definitely not. It's at record high prices. The best time to buy it was always going to be yesterday or 10 years ago, just like any other asset. But unlike any other asset, we can't artificially produce it. The Federal Reserve can't print it. And there's a very limited supply of it to go around. And whatever we have is whatever we have. That's it. Citadel's Ken Griffin, he says that the rush into gold is actually worrying him about where the future of the economy is going right now, because he thinks it's a warning of the confidence in the US dollars being a global safe haven, meaning that a lot of people no longer believe that dollars are going to be the reserve currency of the world because they've lost too much of its value. And I think that's exactly what's going on here, because investors are now viewing gold as the stable store of value that it has always been. People have forgotten about this over the years because the stock market looks so nice and shiny. Everything continues to go up. And then the invention of crypto, and look at where Bitcoin is now compared to where it was when it first came out. Those are definitely impressive figures, but when you price all this stuff in gold, it's really not that impressive, guys. And everything that's priced in dollars today is artificially high. Ken Griffin says that the surge in gold, as well as other dollar substitutes, is evidence of asset inflation away from the dollar. But you see, everybody's just changing their mind on all this now that gold is really starting to come up to its true value in dollars, because even he says, I now view gold as a safe harbor asset in a way that the dollar used to be viewed. That's what's really concerning to me. Well, he only views it that way now because gold has hit all-time high prices. If gold was still sitting at $2,200 an ounce, where it was just a little over a year ago, well, he probably wouldn't be saying that. Personally, I've known this stuff to be true at least since about 2017. I think I bought my first ounce of gold at the end of 2017 or in 2018. I can't remember. That's when I first really learned the power of owning gold and silver and how it's the only true money that's ever existed. And guess what, guys? I bought my first ounce of gold for about $1,200, which is a lot more compared to maybe some old timers who watch my channel. Maybe only bought an ounce for $50, or they bought it for $100 or whatever. But still, look at $1,200 compared to where it's at now. But the reality is the US is losing its reputation as its safe harbor to invest in. We've kind of abused our power as the world's reserve currency, inflated away too much of the value of our currency to the point where a lot of other countries don't trust us anymore. And why should they? Even a lot of Americans don't trust this country anymore. I'm one of them. Something I thought was kind of funny about this story is that they say the economy is on a sugar high, with fiscal and monetary policy still acting as if the US were in a recession. And that's kind of funny, because still acting like we're in a recession, acting like we're not actually in one, Meaning that, well, the Fed is lowering interest rates now, probably even going to go back to quantitative easing, and that's something that they typically do when we're in a recession. And they're likely doing that because they know that we're in a recession. They know that that's where things are at right now. And they know that we're going to have to experience much higher inflation by choosing to lower interest rates. And that's why people are pouring into gold and Bitcoin. And just to put into perspective, guys, gold prices have climbed 49% year to date. That's just from January 1st till now, compared to the S&P 500's measly 14% gain year to date. That is nothing, guys. And like I said, you price it in gold, it's negative. So you can do whatever you want. I personally don't like to be left in the dust. In fact, investing in gold and silver has probably been my best investment ever in terms of paying off. I did well on Bitcoin too, because I bought it early enough. But I definitely wouldn't be buying any at today's valuation. A lot of people might say that about gold as well. But the fact of the matter is, central banks across the world are not loading up on Bitcoin. they're loading up on gold. And what are you going to trust? You're going to trust something that's been money for over 5,000 years, or are you going to trust something that was invented 20 years ago? You know, once again, I'm not saying don't have it. I'm just saying have a little bit of everything. So if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.